Well, folks, it's time to suit up again for another episode of the Soul Sessions. But with me today, it's not just one, but two, a tag team on the show today. We've got Robert Balfour and Ross Hunter, the Par. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, mate. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, absolute pleasure, pals. But always to begin, I like to say every guest has a story and every story has a beginning. So I'll start with you first, Robert. How did you get into the world of professional wrestling?
So I started training when I was 17. Started off at W3L in Kirkcaldy. I didn't actually want to go to training. It was one of my mates who decided to start training and asked if I'd come along with him. So I was like, sure, I'll come along, see what it's like. I wasn't thinking much of it. I think he lasted 2 weeks and I'm 22 now, so that's 5-6 years I've been going, so that's how I got into it.
Oh, very impressive, pal. And what about yourself, Ross?
Well, I'm not much different. I just started when I was 13 at W3L as well. I originally just went by myself, never came with any of my pals. A couple of my pals joined, but they never made it very long. And then a couple of years later, I'm 19 now and still going.
Very well, impressive, guys, indeed. But I want to know as well, speaking to you both, who kind of you idolize as a wrestler, kind of being the one you want to aim to achieve that level? And I'll start with you again, Ross.
For me, quite a bit. I think the main one for me was because when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of TNA as well. Ooh. So I think the main one for me was probably AJ Styles.
Very good. He's a hell of a talent as well. What about you, Robert?
For me, it's probably Randy Orton. I started watching when I was about 4, and that's when Randy Orton had his first world title run when he went into SummerSlam during the whole Evolution faction. So Randy Orton's always been my go-to guy. Sort of the newer breed of guys, I'm a big Seth Rollins guy. Roman Reigns, obviously, there's a name, but Randy Orton's the one that sticks out for me.
Randy, exceptional. What he's done in the business, well, honestly, some may never achieve that state again. But obviously, your favorite, Randy and AJ had a match at WrestleMania. I mean, showing that those guys are talented as well. I mean, I want to know your thoughts on seeing these two legends go at it and have a great achievement.
Well, I was actually at that WrestleMania, so I can say I've seen that live, which is pretty cool. But Randy Orton's just a stud, man. AJ Styles is the same. He's great, but nobody can touch the GOAT.
There it is. And what about your thoughts on that match as well, Ross?
I thought it was amazing, man. I just thought, because that Mania was so stacked, I thought it was brilliant. But to me, that match obviously stood out quite a bit because I'm a massive fan of Randy Orton as well. And I think the two styles just combining into one match and the storytelling as well, because they told a really great story up to it. Like you had AJ dodging the RKOs and then catching an RKO, and it was a really good story to it. I think really good match.
What I think's crazy about that match is, despite how massive of a talent the two of them are, it was a mid-card match. It was just a filler match.
I agree, by the way. I agree.
It can main event anything.
Oh, I absolutely. It just shows you that WrestleMania was stacked to the high bar. But I heard that WrestleMania was a bit of a bitch to get out of.
It was all right. They're all the same.
Ain't it just? But obviously, Randy's got many achievements, kind of tied with Cena, beating Ric Flair's record 16 title reign. I want to know, Ross and Robert, do you think Cena should beat that record or Randy? I'll start with you, Robert.
I like Cena. I really like Cena as well. But I think if anybody deserves to do it, it's Orton. He's had the longevity. He's obviously, you can't say he's not had offers from Hollywood. He definitely has, and he's still there. So I think if anybody deserves to, it's Orton. And he can still go, so.
Very true indeed. Do you agree as well, Ross?
I actually 100% agree. I think just because if you look at where Cena is right now, granted he's doing great, but he's got Hollywood as well. Whereas Orton's been constant for 20 plus years. You know what I mean? Like he's never, if you look at it, he's never actually left for a certain amount of time. Do you know what I mean? Like he's constant, he's on TV every single week. for like 20 odd years now.
Oh, absolutely as well. You know, Orton's taking RKO's and kicking ass, and you know, Cena starring in Barbie. So different things they're into at the moment.
Nothing wrong with Barbie.
Oh no, hey, better than Oppenheimer. I'll say it right here, right now on camera. Better than Oppenheimer. But obviously, I want to know as well, how did you two meet and form the Power?
I met Callum when he was about 14. I think I was 18. So I've known him since he was a little child. And came to him a few years ago with the idea of us being a team. You know, we knew each other for a while. We had decent chemistry. We always worked well together as opponents. So I thought, why not combine that and work together as a team? And
because it was like, so when I was training at W3L, because I was 13, I was put in the juniors class, and then when I turned 14, Johnny Lyons, who's now actually a coach at FPWA, he took me out for a couple of the sessions in the adults class, and that's where I met Robbie. And then we all obviously moved over to FPWA, and then I think we were about a year into FPWA, and then me and Robbie decided, yeah, we should probably just maybe team together. He was like, you fancy tag? And I was like, yeah, okay. And the rest is history.
And now we're probably the best tag team in Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. You're the best tag team on the Soul Session, so you get that accolade.
Well, what can I say?
Oh, hey. But obviously, you know, you mentioned FPWA there as well. We've had multiple people who've trained there and Andy Roberts on the show as well. But I want to know from your experience, guys, going to FPWA, what was like the environment when you went there? And I'll start with you, Ross.
When I first started, I thought, because I was so used to like a wee unit, and it was so cold, and it was like, it was W3L, do you know what I mean? Like, and then I got to FPWA, I was like, wow, this is really, really, really organised and really sort of like official, and it's really, really professional. So to start off, I was actually quite scared because I was one of the youngest guys there, and I thought, oh, these are the guys who are just as good as me, and I'm gonna have to push to another limit. And then we've got there now, and it's just, honestly, it's one of the best environments you could possibly train in, I think.
Oh, good. Would you agree, Robert?
I would agree. First of all, I've got to thank Mike Musso, Johnny Lyons. They gave me my start, and I wouldn't be here technically if it wasn't for them. But Andy has took me to a different level that they couldn't have took me to. So if I had to go back in time and decide, am I going to make that jump, I would do everything exactly the same. FPWA, as Callum says, has a fantastic unit, fantastic professionalism, fantastic students. It's just a welcoming environment. It's a family, and as I say, I wouldn't change it.
Oh, absolutely as well. And obviously, you know, I want to talk about, we've had people who've gone and done, you know, training, but as a singles wrestler, I would imagine tag team training is a bit different. Would you guys agree? And I'll start with you, Robert.
It is a bit different. You know, you've got to learn different types of psychology. Being a singles wrestler is much easier than being a tag wrestler. You wouldn't think that because obviously you're getting the break on the apron and stuff, but you've got to not only think about yourself, but you've got to think about your partner. I've got to think about what I'm doing. If I get hurt, it affects Ross. If Ross gets hurt, it affects me. We done FCW last week. I was in Ross's corner, and you know, I would take a bullet for Ross. I took a flying forearm for Ross, so that's the equivalent of a bullet in our game. You've just got to be on the same page as your partner all the time. If they're the one in the ring, you've got to be the one taking the hits if you can. So, as I say, you've got to think about not only yourself, but the man standing to your side.
Of course, as well. And you agree with that, Ross, or do you feel like there's other elements that you had to adjust to learning?
100%, I agree. I think it's just you being the same page as your partner. You work with each other. Communication is key. You just need to think about what each other are doing at the same time, on the same page. Everything. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to think about at the one time, but you do it so many times and repetitive as we do it, it becomes natural, and that's why I think we're one of the best in Scotland.
Absolutely. Repetition helps build that learning experience. And obviously, you mentioned psychology there, Robert. And I think ring psychology is something that's lost in this modern day of wrestling. I've had guests on who've talked about it and feel like it needs to come back. I wonder from you guys, tag team ring psychology, do you think that's a completely different beast from single psychology, Robert?
I wouldn't say it's completely different. There's a lot of aspects of it that's the same. As I said in my previous statement, the only difference really is that you're not just thinking about yourself, you've got to think about your partner. But I wouldn't say that they're too far apart in their differences. And I wouldn't say it's been lost too much. It depends who you're talking to, There's a lot of guys on the current scene, not only in Scotland, worldwide on the indie scene, who are more interested in big spots and moments. Where if you look at me and Ross, we're more of a moments set of wrestlers and a spot fest type of worker. So that's my take on it. We've got to be out here making movies, not making mud show. You get where I'm going with it. I'm gonna stop before I swear.
Hey, this is a Scottish show, mate. You can swear all you want. It doesn't bother me. But Ross, what about your comments, pal?
I agree with him. It's like we are a lot more of a moments team. We're not here to. We're not going to go out there and kill ourselves. Put it that way, right? We're not going to go out and just come back to the point where we'll go backstage and our bodies are just completely like fucked. So we'll go out there, we'll make a moment, we'll tell a good story. That's the key of it. Is at the end of the day, we're out there trying to tell a story. We're not out there trying to kill each other. Do you know what I mean? But it's the way of the world, isn't it? You need to have your different styles to separate yourself, and I think we do pretty well.
Oh, absolutely, pal, indeed. Now, I want to go and run through some of the opponents you guys have faced together in the ring. One at an FPW show that you faced are the big lads, and interesting individuals themselves. I mean, what was it like going against them for yourself, Ross?
It was interesting. Two guys that you train with, so you know each other really well. It was probably one of the biggest crowds we've ever had. It was actually the first. I think it was. It's the first at Studio 8 we wrestled the big lads. Honestly, in my opinion, it was a great match. I think they're getting a lot of great shots right now, which is awesome. They're making a decent impact for themselves. And maybe one day we can run it back eventually. But I do think, I'd honestly think it was one of the best matches we've had as a tag team.
Wow. Would you agree, Robert?
Yeah, I can agree with that. The best tag team that FPWA have produced going up against the second best tag team that FPWA have produced is always gonna produce a decent match. I'm happy for the big lads getting their spot, but there's one thing I will say is that they need to remember who's the tag team in FPWA, and it's not them, it's the partner. Yeah.
Well, indeed, and we'll make sure that is quoted, tweeted all around, and make sure they're reminded of that statement. Indeed, but obviously, other tag teams you faced as well. An interesting when I read their name, Big Boys on Campus. Interesting name. I mean, Robert, what was it like facing Big Boys on Campus?
Yeah, they're both good guys. Brady Phillips and Riley Nova, a tag team from England. We faced them at the first Truth show. We won. It was a hard-fought match. I've still got a scar from that match because my chest was chopped excessively. But we got the winner's paycheck. We move on. That's all I can say on that.
Fair dues indeed, pal. Ross, would you agree as well, mate?
Took the words right out of my mouth. 100%.
That's it indeed. And obviously we've mentioned other great talents within FPW, and I know you've actually tagged with one as well, Ross. You tagged with Daisy Jenkins, who's been rising up in the UK scene.
Yeah.
I just want to share your thoughts. What's it like seeing Daisy, have such a crazy rise from ICW to other promotions and Dubai as well in her career?
It's awesome. Honestly, I couldn't be happier for her. She's doing so amazing in the short time that she's actually been in the business. I think everything that she's doing is unreal. I think she's getting all these opportunities, and she's not she's doing it all by herself. Like none of it. She's doing it all on her own. Like she's not getting help or anything. She's doing it all by herself. She's getting herself out to Dubai. She's doing these shows. She's doing it by herself at ICW. She's working her ass off. I think she's doing extremely well, and I don't think she doesn't show any signs of stopping. So.
Of course, absolutely. And you mentioned ICW as well, because I know you guys would actually debut on ICW as well. For wrestling for ICW, which is, the biggest Scottish promotion, and even some say the biggest in Europe, and having such a legacy, what did it mean for you guys to get on that show and show the whole ICW fans your shit? What about you, Robert?
At the time, I think we were just happy to be there. Looking back on it, we did grasp the opportunity. Every time we were there, we performed really well. But as I say, we were just happy to be there. When the time comes that me and Ross go back to ICW, and I think the time will come eventually, we won't just be happy to be there. We'll be there to take over. We'll be there to show them why we are the tag team. And if you get in our way, we'll put you down.
Fair dues as well. You agree with that, Ross?
100%. It's only a matter of time, in my opinion.
Fair dues indeed, Pat. But also, I know you would actually face a former ICW tag team champion. It was at FPWA. It was a night at the wrestling. You against KOE. And I remember they said they were going to put the belts on in line as well at that match. Were you guys surprised? Did you know that was going to happen with KOE, Ross?
Last minute, we got in there, and then it was, we're that confident we're going to put the belts on the line, and we were like, here's our opportunity.
Oh, God, there's a hell of an opportunity, Robert. I mean, you can imagine yourself, but you must have been like, well, shit, we got to hit them harder now.
Well, I had the feeling that they were going to say something. They came to our school, jumped us. So if they weren't going to put the belts on the line, I was going to ask them to anyway. I think we deserved it. Everybody was shocked in the club when it happened, and if we get the chance to wrestle for the tag team championships in ICW again, you better believe that we're going to take it. Not just ICW, we're looking for gold anywhere, whether it be disco, Pro 2, Fair City Wrestling. Hell, if FPWA bring out tag belts, you can guarantee where they're going, round our waists. Yeah. May even sit up there. I've got a bit of an empty shelf going on, so.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be a nice stylish addition to the home. Hey, well, obviously, you mentioned, obviously KOE at the time of the tag team champions. I want to know, when you're wrestling a tag team champion, do you feel like you have to go 10 times as harder in the ring, or do you feel like you have to treat it as any other match? What about you, Ross?
I think the key of it, this is what I did when I found out the titles were actually on the line. I kept it calm as I could, because I think the more you work your brain up to thinking, oh my God, this is the biggest match in your career, the more you're likely to fuck up. Mm-hmm. So I kept it calm as I could. Obviously, it didn't turn out our way, but in my opinion, I think we took them to the limit better than anybody else could.
Fair it is. You agree as well, Robert?
I agree with that. KOE are both fucking studs, and we pushed them to their absolute limit. And if you watch the match, you'll know they didn't win in a completely clean manner. So that's something that we can at least take away from it, that they had to resort to tactics to beat us.
Yeah, they had to be cheeky wee bastards to get that victory.
They did indeed.
Can he have that? But obviously, you've wrestled our tag teams. So I know FPW would have a crossover show with New Wave Academy down in Wales, and you would face the Greedy Souls up here in Scotland. Those guys, what's it like going against the Greedy Souls?
So we've actually wrestled them once before. We wrestled them in ICW, and they absolutely flattened us.
Oh
yeah. So the second time we wrestled them, we were a bit more prepared. I probably cost us that match. We were out after Jason Reed, and we were coming. It was just before the match ended. They whipped me away. I saw an opening, got a bit excited, slipped in the ropes on Jason Reed's body oil, and that was the end of that for me. So I kind of have to take responsibility for the fact that we lost that match. But again, whilst we lost, we 100% proved that we could hang with KOE are the best tag team in Scotland, I would say. Grady Souls are probably the best tag team in Britain. So we there have proved that we can hang with the best. Now all we have to do is start beating the best, and believe me, it's going to happen.
It'll happen soon enough, my friend. Ross, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I suppose, man. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree that there's every chance Robbie slipped through the ropes. I did see that happen, and I tried to save the pin, but I got caught with a lovely boot square in the face as I came back into the ring.
Well, maybe
But I think 100%. That would have been 2 shows in a row. We've proved that we can hang with the best in Scotland and the best in Britain, and I think if that doesn't go to show what we are and how good we really are, I don't know what else does.
Absolutely, pal, as well. And I obviously know you've had some other help in other shows as well, because there was an FPWA versus Iron Girder show where you would face a former guest to the show, one half of Casino Brutal, Robert Romero, with his tag team partner Leon Graves. But you would also be joined by another interesting fellow, little Frank Gallo, who's an interesting mind in himself. Because I remember seeing on Instagram that he popped up in the back of your car wearing a butcher apron. I was like, what the hell's going on here? I mean, what's it like with Frank? Because I got to know, he's a hell of a guy, Ross.
He's a character, man. He's crazy. I wouldn't say he's the sharpest knife in the drawer. Let's just go with that. He's when you're nice to him, he's an alright guy, but there is sometimes where his head goes right up his arse. But majority of the time, he's an alright guy. I pity you if you get on the bad side of him. Just go with that.
You agree as well, Robert? A hell of a guy.
I do agree. He's a special person.
Yes.
That car ride that we had through to Girders, trying to work out tactics and talking to Frank, my God, he's just fucking away with it.
It was. You try to talk to him, and then he'd be out the window shouting at something outside.
There's no other way to put it. It's just a wackadoodle.
My God. I mean, I don't know if that probably could be the worst car journey, or maybe, oof, God, that would have been something.
Weirdly, probably the best car journey I've had.
Yeah, easily. It was a laugh, and we managed to get there, and we did not bad. Obviously, we didn't pick up the W, but we did what we could, and it was a good laugh, to be honest with you.
Very nice, pal. Well, I know you would also travel down to Wales to go for New Wave Academy against Bolarama. I want to know, wrestling like a tag team up in Scotland and then going down to Wales, is it a different environment?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say, in my opinion, it was the same, but it was a completely different game with Bolarama. Like, don't get me wrong, the two of them are really, really good, and they're firing all cylinders down south. But they just weren't good enough to beat us.
Fair dues indeed. Robert, what's your thoughts going down there for Wales?
Wales is a weird place. I don't know if I like it or not. I'm not in a hurry to go back. I'm only kidding. I liked Wales. Wales is great. I got a lot of abuse when I was there. The people were very hateful towards me. And I still beat the boys, so I'll go back whenever they ask me.
It's all jealousy, mate. It's all jealousy.
Exactly.
Can he handle the best? Then they shouldn't invite the best. Well, I hate this thing. But also, you know what? There's so many great tag teams out there in the world. I want to know from yourself. So I'm asking you each at a different time. I want to know, who's your Mount Rushmore of tag teams, your top 4. Robert, I want to start first. Who's your 4 favorite tag teams?
4 favourite, or the 4 tag teams that I think are the best? Because that's 2 different questions.
Let's go best.
The Usos, they definitely claim a spot. I think you've got to throw the Hardys in there. They claim a spot. It's tough, man. It's the Usos, the Hardys. Dudley Boys, and I want to say Edge and Christian, but they didn't have a prolonged run, whereas the rest of them have been tag teams throughout their whole career. Come back to me on the last one.
All right, well, we'll go back to you, Ross. Who's your 4 best tag teams?
4 best. I'm going with. I'll start from top to bottom. I'm gonna go 100%. It has to be the Usos at number 1. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the Hardys. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the New Day. And number 4 is quite a tough one. I don't know, man. Maybe. Maybe go with. I don't know. It's a tough one, man. Because there's so many that you can put up there in that position.
Of course, absolutely. No, so many of the best. But obviously, you mentioned the New Day here, Robert. Would you put that as your 4th pick, the New Day?
I mean, they're definitely up there in terms of longevity, but I think in terms of impact, I'd rather pick the Shield or the New Day. I'm not saying I'm picking the Shield, but I think my 4th pick is going to be the Par.
Yeah, easy.
Why not put them at number 1? They're definitely up there.
Well, you've heard it here first. That's the Mount Rushmore, guys. The best of the best. Well, obviously, with FPWA, we've got a big show coming up for you guys. Truth or Dare, which the whole stipulation is there's a wheel, spins, you match up with your opponent, and then you get Truth or Dare. Truth is a standard match, but Dare could be a stipulation. I want to know for you guys, is there anyone you're thinking like on that wheel who may be there or may not have been announced at the time of recording that you're thinking, they're going to be a toughy challenge? What about yourself, Robert?
I think everybody's obviously going to be a massive task for us, especially because we can't prepare for who it's going to be. We can't watch any footage. We can't talk to each other about it. We've just got to wing it, basically. It depends. I think mentally, if we've got someone like the big lads, I'd be happy with that. We've already wrestled them. We've beat them. We know what to expect. Whereas if it's someone who, I don't know, is getting brought in and having their name thrown in the hat, it's a completely different challenge. It's even a big challenge if you take 2 singles guys, chuck them in the hat together and throw them in, because then again, they've not got tag team psychology. They're looking out for themselves, and that could sometimes be even more dangerous because they're there for them. They're there to make an impression, especially if it's a guy who's not had much of a shot on the shows. They'll be hungry to make an impact, but I mean, we'll see what happens. And they might not even come out of the hat. We never know. We might just be there to collect a check and do nothing. So see what happens.
Very true. And your thoughts as well, Ross?
I agree with that. I think everybody in FPWA is hungry for a shot. They want to prove themselves. They want to showcase what they can do. I think the big lads will be a great match for us. We've beaten them before. I think it'd be awesome to beat them again. I do think that, like Robbie just said, our name might not even get picked. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, I think we should be picked over every other team. Like I do think that we should be the ones picked, because I feel like we've made a massive impact, but it's starting to recently feel like that we've not made enough of an impact. And I think we both kind of want to make a bigger impact so far.
Actually, you want to make your statement and show that you are the best of the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Just in my mind and in Robbie's mind, we want to prove to everybody why we are the best. We want to prove exactly why we are the team.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. And obviously, we mentioned there's the dare stipulation where you might get a match stipulation or something. I want to know from you guys, is there a match stipulation you would like to get and one you wouldn't like to get? So I'll start with you, Ross.
I would quite prefer just a standard tag team match, because that's where we perform best. Because we are mat-based kind of guys. We keep it inside the ring as much as we possibly can. Don't get me wrong, we can excel on the outside if we need to. One of the other reasons why we're one of the best. I would love to get the normal stipulation. I wouldn't really want to get anything that would involve objects and weapons, because I think that just gives, to an extent, an unfair advantage for both teams, because then you get to hit each other with stuff and it doesn't really come out as a clear victory. That's the way I look at it. But what will be will be.
Very well. And what about yourself, Robert?
I'm the same. I think I'd prefer just a normal stipulation match. If I had to pick a stipulation, I wouldn't mind like a submission match or something. I feel like that's something that myself and Ross would thrive in. A match that I wouldn't like to do would be, not necessarily that I wouldn't like to do it, it's something that I would like to do to tick off the bucket list, but at the time I think I'd be thinking, fuck this, would be like a ladder match or a table match.
Oof.
That just sounds so...
Oh, shit.
But
I hear you there, pal. I mean, I can imagine you're getting up on the ladder and then you jump off and hit behind the bar.
That just sounds terrible. I'd rather just stay on the mat.
Hey, fair dues indeed, pal. But obviously, we had Daisy Jenkins on recently and she talked about maybe if there were belts introduced to FPWA, and she would like a women's championship with like a crown on it to represent the Kingdom of Five. And what about for you guys? What would you like the tag team belts? If they were introduced to FPWA, what would you like them to look like?
If there was tag team belts introduced in the FPWA, I think they should just have a picture of me and Ross on them. I feel like that would be a fair representative.
On the side plates, both side plates just have a picture of us.
Nah, in all seriousness, yeah, like the bridges would be cool, the 4th bridges. A crown, as you say, it's a kingdom. But nah, I think the tag team belts could have FPW with some bridges on it. I think that'd be quite smart.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That'd be very good as well. And I guess it wouldn't spin. It wouldn't be a spinner tag belt, no?
No.
Absolutely not.
It'd be the big gold.
That's it. Well, there's so many great belts there. But I want to know for you guys, if you had to imagine yourself with any current tag team wrestling belt, because you love the design or you love the history behind it, which belt would you want around the waist of the power, Ross?
I think the original like Attitude Era tag belts.
Ooh, very classy indeed. Would you agree as well, Robert?
I like the belts, but I don't know where I want to go, for a prestige view or a design view. If I'm going to go for a design view, I think I would probably pick the Discovery tag belts. I think they're fucking mint it.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
But prestige would obviously be the WWE tag belts.
Aye.
Well,
If we're going off looks, 100% the Discovery ones.
Even the Fair City tag belts are smart as well. I don't know if you've seen them.
I definitely got to get my eyes on them now if you've recommended them. But obviously, you mentioned, the Discovery tag team belts. They have a 8th anniversary show coming up this year. I mean, maybe you guys will get in the action.
Well, we recently debuted in Discovery, and again, it didn't go quite our way, but it was one of those things where we took the Fair City Saints to their limits and just got caught. It happens. But I don't think we're done in Discovery wrestling, so the tag belts could eventually be ours. We just have to see what happens. The time has to be correct. So.
Oh, fair as well. You agree as well, there, Ross?
100%, yeah. Obviously, we did slip up the last time we were there in their debut show at Livingston. Slipped up, didn't get the win, but we gave it absolutely everything we had, and I think it was only a matter of time. Had that match gone on a wee bit longer, we would have been having our hands raised by the end of that, I think.
Indeed, hell of a thing. But guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the Soul Sessions. But I want to know one final question. I always like proposing this: the dream match, the dream scenario. If you, as the Power, could face any tag team from history in a match, which tag team and why? I'll start with you, Ross.
Oh, of all time,
Of all time.
I'd probably go with the Usos.
Okay. Hell of a get.
100%. I know they're sort of like new era kind of thing, but I grew up, because I am 19. I grew up in the era where the Usos were just coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon, and I've watched them grow and grow into the team that they are today, and I think it'd be awesome to wrestle them.
That'd be a hell of a thing. Robert, do you agree with his comments there?
I actually do agree with him. The Usos would be a dream match for me, especially current moment. I think everything that they're doing is just fantastic. The whole Bloodline stuff's it's ridiculous. It's cinema, and if there's people at that level working matches like that, looking for moments over spots, then why wouldn't we? Who are we to disagree with Roman Reigns and the Usos? I mean, yeah, the Usos definitely up there. Roman and Seth would be another cool one. Shield era, Roman and Seth.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When they held the bronze and black tag belts, they were cool. Hardy's is definitely one, but I think it would be the Usos.
That's a hell of a statement. Who knows? Maybe when WrestleMania comes to the UK, we could get that as our main event.
Well, you know, never know what could happen.
Well, hey guys, the Power, absolute pleasure here having you on the Soul Sessions. But obviously, I like to do with every guest. We've mentioned Truth or Dare for FPWA. Have you ever got any other dates lined up for you guys?
We have a few that haven't been they have been confirmed, but they haven't been announced yet. So, when does this go out?
Oh, it'll go out in a couple of weeks. But don't worry as well, because I will put in your Instagrams in the description of this video so people can click there, follow you guys, and keep up to date with you guys and see what's going on for the Power.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. Just keep your eyes posted. There'll be a few match announcements coming soon involving us, but we can't go into detail about them just yet.
Yeah, you got to keep the surprises. You can't ever let everything go away. Well, Ross, Robert, absolute pleasure here having you on the Soul Sessions. And remember, viewers, tune in, listen in, subscribe, and follow more for more of the Soul Sessions, and click and find these guys out and listen to more of the Power. Thank you, everyone.